Hello and welcome to another video from In3D Software. Today we have another speed challenge and I want to show you how quickly we can create a bespoke piece of bedroom furniture and then push that into production. So I need a new wardrobe in my bedroom, and what I want to do is design this using the article designer, divide it up and then add in the different components for the various types of storage I require. So the first thing I'm going to do is create my room. So if I click on the room plan tool, I can then click on a rectangular room and I'll create some alcoves. So if I go into a top view here now, I can select all of my walls, go to the properties and specify that they have a thickness of 100 millimeters. I then have these walls all very conveniently with a length of 650 millimeters. But this one here is where I'm going to have my wardrobe. That's 3015, let's say. Okay, so now that I've got my zone for my wardrobe, I need a door to get in and out of the bedroom, so that's going to be up in this top corner. Let's just flip the swing, and then I also need some windows, so let's put these down on this bottom wall here. Okay, let's go into a 3D view, switch to a realistic view, and then what I want to do is change my floor finish in here. So let's put a nice carpet on the floor, something like this, I think. There we go. I also want to get rid of that stand. There we go. So let's put our bespoke furniture in place. I'll use the article designer and I'll stretch this now and say overall this is 650 millimeters deep. Overall 625 millimeters deep, and it's going to go floor to ceiling and across the full width of that alcove. Now that I've got that into position, what I want to do now is specify that this should have a base. So I'll choose a base from my drop down list, and that's raised it up. I then need to put in my fillers, so I'm going to use a linear division of 1 to 100 millimeters, and that's going to give me my top zone, which I can then divide in half. So I'm going to say that that should use a partition, and 1 to 1 would give me an equal split. That partition should be virtual though, and then once I've got my two zones, I can open the zones up and I can then add in my filler panels. So let's copy those into the two zones and paste. Okay, now that I've got that, I need to go into the lower zone and then divide this up again, this time again with a virtual partition, but I'm going to use 100 mil filler left and right. And then in each of those outer zones, I want to paste my filler panel in again. Okay, so I've now got my fillers 100 mil all the way around. And then what I want to do is go to my middle zone and I'll divide this up. So I'm going to divide this again with a partition virtually, this time with a linear division of 2 to 1 to divide that so that I've got a double width zone here. On the left hand side, what I'm going to do, well, before we do that, let's add in a top. So that's going to span across all the way, I think. One continuous top, bottom, left and right. We need those. And then once we then get into the left-hand zone, what I need there is another right-hand side panel to act as my divider. And then I want to use a virtual division and change that to be a fixed shelf. And actually, if I change this to be a bottom shelf, I can specify that this should have some lights in here, which I like the idea of lighting up my products. So I'm going to go in here and say that this should be 400 millimeters from the underside. And then in the lower zone, I want to add in another fixed shelf, this time 700 millimeters from the bottom. So that now gives me two zones, and what I can do now is go into the upper section of that zone and add in my back panel. So I've got that, and let's add that in there as well. And I'll copy that up into my upper zone as well and paste that in. And I can then also go to the divider and add in 3 partitions or 2 partitions to create 3 equal zones. So that would be 1 colon 1 colon 1. Okay, below here in this middle zone, what I want is a hanging rail. So let's add in a adjustable shelf, but change that to be a rail. And that should be 50 mil from the underside. And then in this lower zone, what I'm actually going to do is cheat. I'm going to go to my article zone, and then in here I can then put in my pre-built article zone. So this will now bring in a full product. And then what I want to do is go to the level here for my product. Okay, let's put that door in there as a back panel. And a back panel there. Okay, if I now go to the tick, you can see that's going to bring through now my pre-built products, and you can see in here that I've got really wide drawers, but that's fine. If I now go to a wireframe view and increase my level of detail from a level 2 to a level 6, you can see that this has actually got a partition in the center, and I've got drawer boxes that have common drawer fronts across. So pull out one drawer and I get two either side. Okay, so next thing that I want to do is this right hand side over here. So I'll modify that and click on my partition again, and then go up to the level where I have my divider. Once I've opened this up, I need a left hand side, I need a back panel. I'll change that back panel to be my back panel of choice. I'll go in and add in a partition. We'll divide this again equally with a linear division of 1 to 1. I can then go to the adjustable shelves on this side and add in some adjustable shelves. And then on the other side, I want some hanging in here. So let's do again an adjustable shelf, but change that to be a rail. There we go. So I've got dual hanging. Let's click on the tick again. And switch back into realistic. Okay, this isn't looking too bad. I need to move that back because I want to put my doors on next. So let's go to that entire zone and go up a level. And you can see in here, I've now got the ability to go to the trims and do a zone reveal of 100mm. That'll push everything back. So again, if I just quickly click tick, you can see that that will shift everything back in here, but keep my initial depth for what I need. Okay, let's go and add in those doors. So I'll go to this section here and add in a door over all of that. So I'll click on the tick, change to be folding and sliding, and then change to be a 4-section door. And then what I want to do is go to the other side and do the same thing, add in the door, folding and sliding, and this will be a 2-section door. Now that I've got this set, you can see that I've got wood grain with mirrors for my doors. I just need to change my handle positions, so let's do that. I'll also change my materials, I think. So in here, if I go to my article related variables, let's set some finishes. We'll go to the basic data for the carcass, and I quite like the idea of a darker material. So let's go for a dark grey, 18mm in matte. And I'll use the same material for the doors as well. So let's go to the materials for the fronts. And I'll do that for the drawer fronts as well. And then in here for my drawer box material, I think what we can do is add in a similar material, or maybe we should go with something, maybe white, I think would probably help lighten up the inside for my drawer boxes. And then I also want the doors set with the handles, and I'll move these in and say that these should be 30mm in from the edge. Let's click apply on that and have a look. So we've got our carcass in here now of our darker grey material. I think we could probably afford to go a little bit darker as well. And then I want to change my material for my door as well. You can see I've brought my handles in so they're not actually on the mirrors. Let's just double check the inside by going to the presentation and then play article. So I've got bifold doors that are going to open up to reveal my interior full width drawer with drawers behind, and then I've also got my dual hanging with adjustable shelves. Let's just do that article related variables in here and then change that material. So if we go up to my materials in here, you can see I've got my 16mm melamine walnut, and what I want to do is change that to be the lava, I think. Let's pull that in and make that a little bit darker. Same with the rest of my carcass material. And in here as well. Let's do a rebuild. This is looking more like it. I just want to bring these fillers down a little bit here just so that they match through. So what I'll do is modify that filler there, go to the trim and say that that should come down at the bottom 55mm. And I'll do the same on this piece as well. Okay, that's not looking too bad now, I think. So let's go to the finished design. Okay, let's have a quick render. Okay, so my render's complete. I've just paused it there while those render out. I've got a render time of 2 minutes 32 for the first one, and then let's have a look at the internals. 2 minutes 40 for that one. So combined 5 minutes to do the renders, but we won't count that. Okay, so let's put this into production. So we will now go to our wireframe view and we'll look from above. And then what we want to do is create a quick drawing. So we'll go to the drawing views tab and then create a plan view of our wall. And this will now create a technical plan that we can then just pull out to one side, drop this down. It's also dimensioned it for us, but we also want an elevation. So let's quickly drop that into position there. And with the new features, we can choose our elevation boundary. So that will generate an elevation for me as well. Excellent. And if we drop that down, you can see it's also auto dimensioned. Next thing is to save the job and generate the CNC data. So let's do that now. Let's go save order as, generate, and call this Peter Wardrobe. So let's generate the CNC data. If we come over to our model over here, you can see if I now go to right click, generate CNC data, I can choose my workflow. In this case, we're going to run to a HOMAG flat table nesting cell, and we're going to do the optimization within the IX software. So we'll let the CNC generation happen down at the bottom, and you can see right now the software is having a little think about the best usage of our sheet. So once it's optimized our sheet pattern, we'll get the results come up on the screen. Okay, so here's our results. Let's scroll down to our patterns, and you can see in here we now have our optimized sheet usage. If we go into CAD, it's laid these out for us up at the top with all of the relevant drilling and milling operations. Thanks for watching.